cousin or relative product that you can import as well. So that's a cool thing. That's why I like to import different products, because I can test friends of theirs. And the things are, the cool thing is, my customers who like one product, I can say, hey, look, I've got this other one. You should try out a few. And they're like, oh, no, I don't know if it'll work. Well, just take 10 on consignment. You can pay me when it sells. And then once they're hooked on it, then there's no credit. And this is a bigger version of the bikes I sold. And also, here's another point I want to make. Again, see the branding? Samurai? Have you guys passed, everyone seen the keyring? You guys keep passing around. Okay. Yep, keep passing around. Great. And cool thing here is this looks like a quad bike. And I actually had an idea, and you get these ideas as you get more savvy in importing. The idea was this. I sold 12,000 pocket bikes, but I'm getting people email me the question. They go, is this thing safe? Is my kid safe on a pocket bike? Right? And I was thinking, well, you know what? There is a need here for safety, a problem that people have. They're scared. So I thought, you know, if I actually put... I remember when I was riding a bike, the first time I rode a bike, my big brother Jason, again, was teaching me how to ride a bike, and I was terrified, but it was still cool because I had little training wheels on. And then eventually, I didn't need the training wheels anymore. I was fine. And I thought, I'll put training wheels on the bike. I'll just put 2 wheels on the back of the bike to stabilize it. So this here is actually a 2-wheeled bike with 2 more wheels on it. And I rang up the factory. I said, look, could you make a 4-wheeled bike? And they're like, oh, we don't have that. I said, well, do you have a 2-wheeled bike that you can put 2 more wheels on? They're like, yes, we can do that. Okay. Just say the same, rephrase it, and you'll find that you actually solve the problem. And they just changed the shell. It cost me $10 to $15 more dollars, but I had a new product that filled a need in the market, filled a need for my customers, and I sold a lot of these, right, for the people who didn't want to put their kids on a 2-wheeler. I personally understand that. And then I sold them in different colours. You have black, you have red, you have yellow, you have pink. Test it out. Try different colours. So the cool thing was I was starting to make good money importing from China, right? And I was mainly retailing these products. And I then got a contact for great freight distribution. If you can get great freight distribution, it opens a whole of not just your local country, whether it be your local city, be Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth, but if you get really good freight rates, you can ship to anywhere. Absolutely. I was shipping even to Tasmania. And it's amazing how cheap it gets, and people who really don't have connections, what they pay and what you pay. I mean, that really is a very interesting industry. Like the newcomers to the freight industry get absolutely taken for a ride, and those who know what they're doing save a fortune. So, but this allowed wholesaling because I was pushing quantities, and this was great. And this is really, guys, if you're really starting to import, if you want to open a brick and mortar store, great. If you want to open an online store, greater still. We want to sell on eBay, fantastic. But really speaking, if you really want to be making the big bucks, you need to be doing this, and that's wholesaling. So what I did is I had these 2-wheel bikes that I was selling individually. So I was like, okay, how many fit on a pallet? And I did the measures and the dimensions. 6 fit on a pallet. And a pallet's the unit that you can ship all around Australia. You guys familiar with that? Okay, fantastic. So I was like, okay, well, I don't want to just sell one. I'll give a variety to my customer. 2 yellow, 2 red, 2 blue. Cool. Put them on the pallet and sold that. And then what happened was inadvertently, because I was getting them so cheap from China because I was getting such great prices and I was able to push really big quantities, I inadvertently created satellite markets. I created people who just wanted 1 or 2, wanted to bring their friends in on it. And they'd go with a friend and they would sell the other 4, but then they would find they made so much money they were buying more and more off me. And this is what happens when you actually can get things very cheap. Right? You'll have people who will knock down your door for more and more of an item that you never actually thought was that big a margin. You sacrifice some margin, but who cares if you sell 10 times the quantity? Right? If you're going to go to the river, you want to go with a teaspoon, or do you want to pump it right into your house? Pump that water in. It's amazing. So here's an example of some of the sales revenue I made. And I'm very happy to share this with you. I have no qualms about it. Here's an example of a week back in 2005 where I made $67,000 in sale that week. And this is just from the bikes. And what I want to do is, the point of this is I want to show you the advantage of actually not putting all your eggs in one basket. Okay? If you're going to import, find a niche, and this is what you want to do. And this is one of the big tips I want to take away. If there's 3 things to take away tonight, here's one of the 3. You need a niche that is 1/4 of an inch wide and 8 miles deep. Okay? And there's a million reasons for that. And one of the biggest reasons for that is that you can find accessory products and supporting products, and because you have the same customers, they'll be buying those products too. Okay? So remember that saying. A niche 1/4 of an inch wide and 8 miles Fantastic. Okay, so have a look here. So you have an ATV. The ATVs are four-wheel bikes, the entry-level pocket bike, a super bike, and here, look at this. I've actually got the 6-packs here, and look how much I make on the GSM 07s, okay? So here I make 9,500 selling them individually. And look how much I make selling them in 6-packs. 14% of my total sales for that week came from the retailing, and 24% came from wholesaling. So this is the beauty of it. When you bring in an item, capture both markets. And I still recommend, if your wholesaling is the way you want to go, but still start retailing. The reason is you'll understand the market and what they want. Right? And you'll be able to get feedback from your customer and improve and tweak products so you have that competitive advantage and you have the branded product that everyone wants. So, but the other interesting thing I did is that I actually make the individual and the 6-pack a different item. Think about that for a second, okay? If you have separate products called SKUs, right, and you treat them differently, and you bulk them together and send them individually, that essentially is a different product because you can make more money from it selling it individually and that way. Another thing I did was, hands up here who has ever bought a Duracell battery. Let me see a show of hands. Okay. Hands up here who's ever bought an Energizer battery. Let me see a show of hands. Okay. Now I want you to put your hands up if you think Energizer is better than Duracell. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And who thinks the other way around, that Duracell is better than Energizer? Okay, and who doesn't know? Your hands up. Okay, well, it's interesting because did you know that they're the same company? Duracell and Energizer are the same company. But why would they do that? Why would they compete with themselves? Because it makes money. So I want to show you that I have Samurai here, but I also have a brand called Diablo. I competed with myself. Think of Coca-Cola and Pepsi, right? There's less Coca-Cola sold because of Pepsi, and there's less Pepsi sold because of Coca-Cola, but altogether, because of the two of them, more cola is sold internationally. So this is another thing you do. I actually competed with myself, and I had one customer who says, you know what, your price is too high, I'm not buying a Samurai bike, I'm going to buy a Diablo. I'm like, oh no, please don't do that. Don't let me stop you. Okay? So you can come up with separate brands, and this is something that you see in Coles and in Bunnings, and you have your No Frills brand, and you have your better brand. Look at Foster's, right? I wouldn't drink the stuff. But overseas, they're like, you're from Australia, do you drink Foster's? No. I mean, yes, I love Foster's, but it's actually a different brand. Right? The export Foster's, the import Foster's are different. So you just put different products and different labels. You can have a lower priced product that is actually the very same product as an expensive product, it's the same thing, but just labeled cheaper, and you capture a different market. It's all about perceptions. Who finds that valuable information? Let me see a show of hands. Excellent. You're starting to see the picture and what you can do with China. Right? The cloud's clearing. Fantastic. Okay, so this is between $60,000 to $90,000 a week. Is anyone can calculate what that is in a year? Anyone good at mathematics? You know what $60,000 to $90,000 a week is in a year? 450,000. Add one more zero. It is $3 to $5 million a year in sales. Who'd like to do that? Let me see a show of hands. Let me hear a ka-ching. One more time. Let me hear a ka-ching. Ka-ching. Fantastic. I didn't see the goods. I didn't see the customers. Right? It just appeared in my bank account. Everything was taken from China onto the truck, into my warehouse, shipped to the customer. The customer would pay over a bank transfer. I never took cash. Where's the hassle? A brick and mortar store, you have customers come in and complain and all this type of stuff, and you've got to pay the rent, you've got to answer your landlord, you've got to pay for the air conditioning. I mean, when you start importing and using online, and later you'll hear about Alex and his success with online, I mean, you're all here because of smart internet marketers, people like Alex, who can teach, could show you how to actually bring a lot of people into your business, whatever kind of business it is. Imagine that. You can now have the world online. Like, this is only in the last 10 years. You can actually not only import, but not have to deal with customers face to face. Who'd like to now do that? Fantastic. So this is the situation. This is me from when I was in the Australian Financial Review. Right? And I actually did I lose customers by not accepting cash? You bet I did. But at the end of the day, I figured out, what type of lifestyle I did. Just like I didn't want to do a commute, I also didn't want to deal with 100% of the customers. I just pick and chose the ones I want to deal with, the ones that were less hassle, and took the money from the easy ones. I could have made more money if I really wanted to, but look, when you're earning a certain amount of money where you can pay the bills and you own your own house and your own car, you can only really drive one car and eat one steak at one time. There comes a point where you're just really not tempted. And had I been greedier and had I been more that way inclined, then I would have done absolutely everything possible. And you guys might want to accept credit cards. You know, you might want to do all these types of things, and they're options that are available to you. But always remember, you want to pick lifestyle, right? And that's really where you want to be heading. How did I do this? How is it that I made millions of dollars? I was only a young lad, about 22, 23 years old when I was doing this. How did I do it? I mean, how does someone who was destined to a law degree and work in a law firm and by the age of 50 make partner with who? How do they actually do it? And here's the answer. I cut out the retailer, goodbye Harvey Norman. I cut out the wholesaler, I cut out the import and the import agent. It was just me, happy, smiling, and a factory. And what is that really? It's margins. When I cut out a retailer, look, I don't like to use rude language, especially in public, but I'm going to use one word today, and please let me apologise if that's the word is schmuck. Okay, the retail customer, he really is a. I can't hear you guys, but he really is a schmuck. You know why he's a schmuck? Because he goes to Harvey Norman, right, he buys his TV. Oh, on no interest for 24 months. Oh wow, there's no catch there, is there? Right? And he's paying off that TV for the next 10 years. You go to China, significantly cheaper, right? Because the retailer is paying the wholesaler, who's paying the importer, who's paying the import agent. Everyone has to make their margin along the way. So if you really want to know why China works, why you can make this sort of money, because it's just bang, bang. And for those people who, like you, who are savvy, who actually decide to not be the schmuck and go for it themselves, this is the type of money you can make and the type of success you can have. If you're prepared to not be like everyone else and differentiate yourselves and step away from the masses and go to China and import from China, or at least contract Chinese factories. So here's me in the media. See how silly it looks on a pocket bike? I wasn't lying. Right? That's me on that. New Internet Entrepreneurs. That was in the Australian Financial Review. That's me on the front page of the Sydney Morning Herald, again, on one of these pocket bikes. I had no idea they would sell so well. Right? And I hope you guys have that same problem. I hope you guys all import a product that you actually are lukewarm about and it just kills it. Right? Because that's what can happen. And that's me again. And I was also syndicated to anyone here from the guys from Melbourne, put hands up. You guys read The Age? Yes, I was also featured there. And the cool thing was, what was really interesting, as a 22, 23-year-old, I had the Australian government call me up and ask me to be a guest speaker at Austrade. Here I am,